James Chambers, born July 30th, 1944. Known professionally as Jimmy Cliff, is a Jamaican ska, rocksteady, reggae, and soul musician, multi-instrumentalist, singer, and actor. He is the only living reggae musician to hold the Order of Merit, the highest honor that can be granted by the Jamaican government, for achievements in the arts and sciences. Jimmy Cliff was born James Chambers on July 30th, 1944, in St. James, a colony of Jamaica. He began writing songs while still at primary school in St. James, listening to a neighbor's sound system. When Chambers was 14, his father took him to Kingston, where he would take up the stage name Jimmy Cliff. Cliff sought out many producers while still going to school, trying to get his songs recorded without success. He also entered talent contests. One night, I was walking past a record store and restaurant as they were closing, pushed myself in and convinced one of them, Leslie Kong, to go into the recording business starting with me. He writes in his own website biography. His career took off when Hurricane Hattie became a hit while he was aged 17. It was produced by Kong, with whom Cliff remained until Kong's death from a heart attack in 1971. Cliff's later local hit singles included King of Kings, Dearest Beverly, Miss Jamaica, and Pride and Passion. In 1964, Cliff was chosen as one of Jamaica's representatives at the World's Fair in New York, and in the same year, Cliff was featured in a program called This Is Scott, alongside Prince Buster, Toots and the Maytals, and Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. He soon signed to Island Records and moved to the United Kingdom. Island Records initially and unsuccessfully tried to sell Cliff to the rock audience, but his career took off in the late 1960s. His international debut album was Hard Road to Travel, released in 1967. It received excellent reviews and included Waterfall, composed by Nirvana's Alex Spyropoulos, and Patrick Campbell Lyons, which became a hit in Brazil and won the International Song Festival. In 1972, Cliff starred as Ivanhoe and Martin in the classic reggae film The Harder They Come, directed by Perry Hensel. As the film tells Martin's story, he is a young man without funds, arriving in Kingston from the country. He tries to make it in the recording business, but without success eventually. He turns to a life of crime. The soundtrack album of the film was a huge success that sold well around the world, bringing reggae to an international audience for the first time. It remains one of the most internationally significant films to have come out of Jamaica since independence. The film made its debut at London's Gaumont Cinema in Notting Hill on September 1st, 1972. In 1975, Cliff sang on the first season of Saturday Night Live, episode 12, hosted by Dick Cavett. After a series of albums, Cliff took a break and traveled to Africa. The Nigeria-based Jamaican writer, Lindsay Barrett, was instrumental in Cliff's first trip there, and subsequently converted to Islam, taking the name of El Hajj Nambashir. Cliff quickly returned to music touring for several years, before he recorded with Kool and the Gang. In 1984, Cliff appeared at the Pinkpop Festival in Landgraaf, Netherlands. During the River Tour, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band added Cliff's previously little-known song, Trapped, to their live set. It achieved great prominence when included on 1985 We Are the World benefit album. The follow-up, Cliffhanger 1985, won a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album, though it was his last major success in the United States until 1993. Also in 1985, Cliff contributed to the song Sun City, a protest song written and composed by Stephen Van Zandt and recorded by artists united against apartheid, to convey opposition to the South African policy of apartheid. Cliff then provided backing vocals on the Rolling Stones' 1986 album Dirty Work, and appeared in the comedy club Paradise, co-starring with Robin Williams and Peter O'Toole, and contributed several songs to the soundtrack, including 7-Day Weekend, which he sang with Elvis Costello in 1988. His song Shelter of Your Love was featured in the 1988 film Cocktail. Cliff appeared in the film Marked for Death in 1990, performing John Crow with the Jimmy Cliff Band. His recording of You Can Get It If You Really Want was used as a campaign anthem by the Sandinista National Liberation Front in the 1990 election in Nicaragua. In 1991, he performed at the Second Rock in Rio Festival, in Estadio do Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He continued to sell well in Jamaica and, to a lesser extent, the UK, returning to the mainstream pop charts in the US. He won in France with the version of Johnny Nash's I Can See Clearly Now on the Cool Runnings film soundtrack in 1993. In 1995, Cliff released the single Hakuna Matata, a collaboration with Label M, a song from the soundtrack of the film The Lion King. In 1997, Cliff was a guest star in an episode of the Cartoon Network talk show Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Cliff appeared in the 2011 documentary Reggae Got Soul, the story of Toots and the Maytals, which was featured on BBC and described as the untold story of one of the most influential artists ever to come out of Jamaica. In 2011, Cliff worked with producer Tim Armstrong, lead singer of American punk band Rancid, on the EP The Sacred Fire 24 and the full-length album Rebirth. Rebirth won a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album. The album was listed at number 12 on Rolling Stone's list of the top 50 albums of 2012, saying their scar is Stay Roots Reggae, a revelatory cover of The Clash's Guns of Brixton, delivered in Cliff's trademark soulful tenor grittier but still lovely. More than 40 years after his debut in December 2012, Cliff was named Artist of the Year by Digital Newspaper, the Caribbean Journal, citing his work on Rebirth. In August 2022, Cliff released the album Refugees. Cliff was briefly a member of the Rastafari movement before converting to Islam from Christianity. He now describes himself as having a universal outlook on life and does not align himself with any particular movement or religion, saying, "Now I believe in science." He is married and has a daughter, Lilty Cliff, and a son, Icon Cliff. He is also the father of the actress or singer Nabi Abi. Jimmy's net worth is $10 million.